Part 11. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 101. There are two reasons for Gu Yao to enter the Kyukyu Mountains. One is that Zhang Yan started preparing to enter the mountain after he got the Hongxian pill. Before it was too late, Gu Yao took a ride. The second is that Gu Yao foresees the possible wind and rain in the future, and it is better to avoid it temporarily. He could imagine that if he stayed in the academy, once the matter of the pills was exposed, he would definitely be brought to Danfeng and Huguzu as soon as possible, facing their doubts and inquiries, as well as all kinds of questions from other people. Suspicion, in order to avoid these troubles, so he slipped away. Tian Firong and Little Fatty would travel together, which was somewhat beyond Gu Yao's expectations, but traveling with Zhang Yan and the others was also guaranteed in terms of safety, so Gu Yao agreed. In his opinion, the little fat man would take the initiative to follow him. The main reason was that he wanted to avoid the group of Huguzu who came to Tianfu College. If they bumped into him head-on, Huguzu might not be able to recognize him. The people who came out with Zhang Yan also had a great change in their attitude towards Gu Yao. At first, they thought that Zhang Yan would be in the way of carrying a few oil bottles, which would slow down their journey, and it would be too much to set off at this moment. After taking the risk, they still haven't been able to deal with the illusory demon liquid that caused the students to coma. But after entering the Kyukyu Mountains, Zhang Yan received a communication from the academy once. Hongxuan Dan was personally recognized by Huguzu. It is a good medicine. The Chamber of Commerce is expanding, refining and increasing the supply. This result made them look at Gu Yao with admiration. His attitude has also become much more respectful. They know that although Gu Yao's combat power is not as good as them, it is likely to play a vital role here, and it is much more useful than them. Because he has to travel at full speed, Gu Yao can only collect some plants on the roadside while he is resting, but he is quite satisfied. The deeper he goes, the various resources in the Kyukyu Mountains are, as he heard before, more and more abundant. Many are not seen outside. Others also found that the alchemist Gu Yao was different from other alchemists and maintained a strong interest. When Gu Yao is resting, he will also make a few pots of medicinal pills and distribute them, and he has received a lot of praise. The preparation of these medicinal pills can more than double everyone's offensive and defensive strength, so it is said that good pill masters are very popular. But such an alchemist can be met but not sought. At the same time, Qi Changjai's amazing combat power has also been recognized by everyone, and those who are qualified to stand with Gu Yao are not easy. As for Tian Firong and Little Fatty, they were regarded as followers by everyone. Ahem, then there is no problem with being weaker. Tian Firong and Little Fatty, who had been underestimated by others, could only look at each other, and secretly made up their minds to impress these guys in the future. The Xingyu Chamber of Commerce has the most comprehensive topographic map of the Kyukyu Mountains. Just after passing through a swampy area, Gu Yao harvested a batch of plants and other materials growing here with satisfaction. It only includes plants, ores, the flesh and blood of alien beasts and even the corpses of Zerg. Everything can be used as medicine. The reason why the world of self-cultivation is not so extensive may be because the resources here are too rich. The front is the secret valley. After passing through the secret valley, it is the place where the vision occurred, and it is also the place where the student's accident happened. Everyone needs to be careful. Zhang Yan swiped his finger across the soft leather map in front of him and looked at the dark place in front of him. Say, "Senior brother, don't worry, we will act carefully." Jolie's expression was a little less joking and a little more serious. Although he chose the safest road, he has experienced many difficulties all the way here. Fight less, and fighting with blood is the best way to train people. Zhang Yan glanced at all the members and nodded slightly. Everyone changed a lot, especially Gu Yao and Tian Firong. Qi Changjai was used to seeing this kind of cultivator fighting for life and death, no matter when they were all very calm, but Guyao and the other three, especially Guyao, were supposed to be protected by everyone, and they didn't enjoy the comfort, but picked up his magic sword and joined the battle, so the breadth of the body showed the more solid, the shorter the distance from the breakthrough. After a short rest, the group stepped into the dense valley, as if they had collapsed into another dimly lit world, filled with all kinds of miasma, as well as the aura emanating from tall and exotic trees. After merging together, a layer of shield is formed in the sky. The light from the outside cannot penetrate, and the miasma inside cannot be emitted. Naturally, this place has become a paradise for some special creatures. With the top-grade detoxification pill provided by Guyao, you don't have to worry about inhaling miasma poisoning, but there are all kinds of poisonous insects, poisonous beasts, and even monster plants living here. The monks who enter it may accidentally become their prey, and even bones are turned into part of the mulch here. Everyone's faces look solemn and careful, except for the black cat squatting on Guyao's shoulders, who looked extremely curious in the green cat's eyes. If it wasn't for Guyao's control, maybe it would have run out to play in a hurry. This is a dangerous place for Guyao and the others, but for the cat cubs from the nether abyss, maybe even the back garden is not comparable. The black cat seemed extremely quiet along the way. At first, everyone couldn't understand why Guyao brought such a useless pet, but then Guyao's own role made everyone gradually ignore its existence. Anyway, it didn't affect it. Take their actions with you. It was Zhang Yan who paid a little attention, and there was a hint of confusion in his eyes, but because of the trip, he temporarily suppressed the idea of exploring. His intuition told him that neither Guyao nor Qi Changjai seemed like people who would raise useless things. Suddenly, a buzzing sound came from the front, including Guyao. A thought flashed in the minds of several people, and it came again. This must be another swarm of poisonous bees. After destroying the poisonous bees a few times, Tianfirong felt that the golden ring poisonous bee that he had heard about his elder brother was weak. I don't know how many of the poisonous insects and bees here can escape alive. Once, Yuanyang town was all they could see, and only after they came out did they realize how big the world was. The first time he heard this voice, Tianfirong entered a state of battle. A group of black poisonous bees flew over. Although the light was dim, you could still see some bright colors in the poisonous bee colony. Before flying to the front, he hit the first barrier first. After sizzling, a large number of poisonous bees fell to the ground, and were then swarmed by the poisonous bees behind. It's not the first time I've seen such a scene, and it still makes my scalp numb. Zhang Yan sacrificed a blue bead-shaped magic weapon. Between the waves of the magic weapon, 2 water chains flew out of the magic weapon and jumped into the swarm of poisonous bees. They split a path in an instant. He rushed over beside him, and no one hesitated to take a step back. At the same time, once the poisonous bee broke through the water chain, they were immediately intercepted by their various means. Qi Changjai walked with Guyao to one side, with a sword in his hand. A large swath of poisonous bees fell down. If anyone looked carefully, they would find that the fallen poisonous bees were all cut in half by sharp tools. The wound is so smooth. Guyao didn't sit back and relax just because he had such a big killer by his side, and he was a leader when he was the enemy. His negligence may have irreversible consequences. Just when another corpse of the poisonous bee fell, there was a sudden change under the rot and the corpse. In front of you. It was too late to say it, and the wooden magic sword in Guyao's hand flew out, bursting out several green vines in the air, and quickly wrapped around the swept black shadow. A twist, and the vines were wrapped in black. The queen was strangled, and with a bang, the black shadow was torn apart, and the blood of strange colors spilled out. The magic sword was controlled by Guyao, and the vines shrank back in a blink of an eye, and then returned to Guyao's hand and turned into a small green sword. It was not stained with any blood stains, and it looked so transparent and green. The ritual practice and pondering are not without results. The word twist is Guyao's favorite trick on the way. After the strangulation, it was discovered that the black shadow was a poisonous snake, and its color was integrated with the surrounding environment. He wanted to wait for an opportunity to sneak up on Guyao and his party, but unfortunately it was unsuccessful. After fighting all the way, they finally reached the end of the secret valley, where the light was lit up again. They are in the middle of two extreme worlds, one is a dark world like hell, and the other is a bright and beautiful world. A group of people who are on the dividing line are easily attracted by the world on the other side. Especially after the fighting for the past few days and the extremely tense mind, the thought in my heart when I saw the world on the other side was that I might finally take a break. But suddenly a basin of cold water was poured on their heads, including Jolie, who wiped his face and woke up suddenly. He found that he had stepped out a lot of distance unconsciously, and then looked at the magnificent world in front of him, only his whole body was left. The feeling of the hair standing on end. It was Zhang Yan who poured cold water on them. He majored in water-based exercises, and it was no weaker than other attributes when used to kill enemies. At this moment, it could also be used to sober up everyone's minds. "Senior brother," Jolie asked while wiping the water on his face, "what's going on here?" It turns out that the border with the secret valley is not like this. There are many dangers in the secret valley. Whether it is the academy or the disciples of Kingshuman, they are not willing to step in easily. Although Guyao actually collected a lot of rare spirit grass in the secret valley, these spirit grasses can be used outside. A lot of spirit stones were sold, but no matter how good the spirit grass and spirit stones were, they had to have a life to get them. However, there were still people who traveled through the dangerous secret valley to the other end, and the information they brought back was different from what they are now. It is because of this difference, as well as the harmless and peaceful picture displayed by the world in front of him, that Jolie feels creepy. The more beautiful things are, the more terrifying crises are hidden underneath. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 102. Originally, the black cat was just squatting lazily on Guyao's shoulder, but now Guyao found that its small body was stretched into a bow shape, ready to be ejected at any time, and the two cat eyes also became vertical pupils, staring at someone in front of him. Position. Zhang Yan said vigilantly, "Yes, all of this can only indicate that there have been changes in the recent period. Everyone be careful, the fragrances emitted by the many exotic flowers and plants here have a hallucinogenic effect when mixed together, and there is no defense. It's easy to get caught down there." Jolie and a few others were in such a situation. After being reminded by Zhang Yan, they were more alert. In order to prevent accidents, they also specially took a Qingshen Dan provided by Guyao. After taking it, a cool breath quickly entered. In their minds, they suddenly felt refreshed, surrounded by such a beautiful world of flowers and plants, but now in their eyes, they did not feel that it was safer than the secret valley on the other side. If you don't enter the tiger's den, you won't get the tiger's son. Let's go. Try not to scatter. If you do get scattered, try to keep it clean, Zhang Yan reminded. Okay. Although Guyao was very interested in the exotic flowers and plants here, he didn't take action to collect these flowers and plants before he knew the situation here, so as not to cause accidents. After walking a few steps in the sea of flowers, the black cat suddenly jumped down. Guyao was about to call it back, when he saw it showing its claws, and a large area of flowers and plants fell down in front. "What is this cat doing? It's too dangerous, call it back," Jolie shouted. "Wait," Chi Changjai made a sound to stop the other's movements, took Guyao a few steps forward, waved his palms to remove the flowers and plants that were torn apart by the cat cubs. The following scene was immediately exposed, and everyone was shocked when they saw it. Tone. It's senior brother Yaoi. Jolie and the others immediately recognized who the person below was with roots stuck on his body. He was one of the missing students. However, it was not only his body that was covered with roots, but also his face. The expression on his face is still very intact, it is a very comfortable and satisfied smile, as if immersed in the most wonderful world, but the flesh and blood of his entire body has become the nutrients of flowers and plants, absorbed by the roots and clean, only a pair of skins and bones remains. This shows that Yaoi died unconsciously. Maybe he was still immersed in the most beautiful hallucinations before his death. This guess made the hairs on Jolie explode, and he also risked to follow in the footsteps of Yaoi Bar. So the people who escaped are lucky, but is it the same for those who failed to escape? When Jolie thought of this, he might immediately turn his head to look at Zhang Yan. He knew how much senior brother Zhang valued senior brother Lu. Zhang Yan really had a rare solemnity on his face, and there was no previous weightlifting. I don't know how many monks were buried under the gorgeous and fragrant flowers and plants. Just when he wanted to collect Zhao Min's body and bring it back to the academy, those root vines actually it squirmed, and the cut parts grew at a speed visible to the naked eye, and they were about to cover up Zhao Min's body again. Zhang Yan waved his hand to a string of blades made of water. The blades rotated to cut off the vines and flowers. With one hand, a water snake turned rope and wrapped Zhao Min's body to drag it over. Suddenly, more vines poured out of the ground and wanted to it away. Jolie and others immediately stepped in to help. As the fragrant flowers were chopped and split, the surrounding air was filled with more and more intense fragrance. Meow! The black cat screamed. Guyao raised his head and looked around. The whole magnificent world of flowers and plants changed from a still dead thing to a living thing, left the original position and twisted, and at the same time more corpses below it was revealed that there were Tianfu Academy, Qingxiuman's disciples, and many monsters who were supposed to live in the Kukyu Mountains. Their expressions were all smiles of satisfaction, and none of them were suffering from death. Meow meow meow. The black cat called back to Guyao for a few more times, then turned his head and ran forward. Guzan knew that the black cat was telling him to follow it, and saw the vines and flowers were pressing towards them. And the fragrance is so strong that the brain is almost unconscious. If this continues, I am afraid that there will be a consequence with those people. So I said run with the cat. Okay, Chi Change guessed what it meant when he saw the black cat's change. As soon as Guyao's words came out, he grabbed his arm, opened the way with his sword, and followed the black cat who was running forward, and explained at the same time. Tian Firong and Little Fatty, you guys follow along. Let's go. Tian Firong and Little Fatty naturally followed desperately, and they would have a chance to live with Chi Change, otherwise in such a treacherous place, they would have to wait to die. Follow them, Zhang Yan immediately ordered, and without a moment's hesitation, they ran after the long night, and at the same time, took action to remove the vines blocking the road. Hold your breath, don't inhale the fragrance of flowers outside. That black cat was really not easy. To make Chi Change and Guyao trust so much and follow it without hesitation, such a thought flashed through Zhang Yan's mind. The smashed petals danced around in the air, and some fragments got on people's bodies. It was astonishing that these petal fragments could absorb the spiritual power in the body, making people more and more unable to control the flow of spiritual power. Frightened, I grabbed the Qingshen pill and detoxification pill, and swallowed it. I just wanted to hold on for a while, maybe I could rush out of this weird place in the next moment. Under the problem of too much erysipelas. The body of the black cat gradually changed during the running, and the body grew a little bigger, and there was black mist transpiring around, but when the petals and vines touched, they were immediately corroded, and the corroded energy was absorbed by the cat. The breath on the kitten also began to rise. Aware that the strange petal vines did not stop attacking the black cat, but became more intense. Although Chi Change and Zhang Yan did not understand the reason for the cat's change, the movements of the petal vines had already given them a hint. The place the cat is going may be the very core of those things to guard. The entire world of flowers and plants turned into a ferocious beast, spreading its sharp fangs, the petals gathered into a storm in the air, and the storm was mixed with sturdy giant pythons condensed from vine roots. A line of monks swallowed. In an instant, Chi Chang-Jai was enveloped by lightning, holding a sharp sword in his hand, and the lightning flashed around and fluttered. With a sound of open, the sword swept across the sky, accompanied by a violent blasting roar. The road ahead was blocked by the storm python, a tear was torn open by Sheng Sheng. This time Gu Yao pulled Chi Chang-Jai and jumped in quickly, and at the same time, the green sword turned into a rattan and dragged Tian Firong and Little Fatty behind him. As soon as Chi Chang-Jai stood firm, a mouthful of blood spurted out. "Brother Ye, how are you?" Gu Yao hurriedly poured the top-grade healing elixir from the bottle into Chi Chang-Jai's mouth, not caring about being discovered. For example, Zhang Yan, Zhou Li, and others were still immersed in the shock of Chi Chang-Jai's shocking sword. They couldn't get out for a long time. They woke up and surrounded by Gu Yao's exclamation. Chi Chang-Jai was sitting cross-legged with the help of Gu Yao. He got up, glanced at the situation around him. He had already escaped from the dangerous world just now, showed a reassuring smile to Gu Yao, and then began to close his eyes and adjust his breath. Gu Yao stood by Chi Chang-Jai's side. The black cat didn't see anything different, and lay back on Gu Yao's knees. Although Tian Firong and the little fat man were drowsy, they still insisted on guarding one after another, so that they could escape the danger just now. All relying on Chi Chang-Jai's extraordinary performance, it is conceivable that he paid a large price, and of course he must do his best to protect him at this moment. Zhang Yan took a step back and looked at each other. His eyes were still shocked. The power of the sword just now far surpassed the strength of Qi refining Dachan, and even the foundation establishment cultivator may not be able to compare. So, what is the strength of Chi Chang-Jai? After adjusting the breath for a while, the rioting Lei Lingli on Chi Chang-Jai calmed down a lot, and his breath stabilized. Zhang Yan and others breathed a sigh of relief. Before, Chi Chang-Jai should have forcibly increased his spiritual power and swung that sword, which exceeded the limit. The body's endurance has caused backlash, and the situation should be much more stable now. If it causes irreversible consequences, then they are somewhat indebted. "I'm guarding here, Zhou Li, take a few people around to see what's going on here," Zhang Yan explained. "Okay, senior brother, don't worry." Zhou Li also adjusted his breath for a while, and recovered a few percent of his spiritual power, which is enough to deal with ordinary enemies. Senior brother is much stronger than him, so it should be no problem to guard Chi Chang-Jai. Zhou Li took people to check the environment here, and while they looked around, they couldn't help but wonder about Chi Chang-Jai. When he first entered the academy, he was Gu Alchemist's entourage, and he became famous after the battle with Wu Meng, but today it seems that his strength is far more than what he showed when he fought against Wu Meng. His Lei Ling power is very condensed. It's really pure, and the spiritual root must be very talented. Haven't they been tested at the beginning? If he had tested it, would Wu Meng dare to challenge Chi Chang-Jai? Zhou Li rubbed his nose and shook his head with a wry smile. "I came in as a follower at the beginning. Who would give the follower test? And which follower was hidden so deeply in the past? Besides, Brother Qi was already targeted by Elder Yi, and the others Feng can't make up his mind anymore. As far as he knew, Elder Yi didn't give up his plan. Yeah, just looking at the sword he just slashed, you can tell that he is a sword cultivator. It would be a shame not to enter Ji Feng. Maybe he will be different from the people who used to break into the sword pavilion. The cultivator, our academy's status and reputation in the Tianlin continent will also be greatly reversed. Who doesn't want Tianfu Academy to have a good reputation, instead of being called a shelter? Don't talk about it. The power of that sword just now makes me want to devote myself to Ji Feng to practice swordsmanship." Zhou Li said in his heart. It's not a legend that Jiangziu can leapfrog the challenge. Although the few people walked and talked, they did not relax their vigilance. Suddenly Zhou Li's breath stagnated, and then he quickened his pace. "Quick, senior brother Lu is ahead. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 103. The flowers and trees here are all normal, but Jolie and others found the figure of senior brother Lu and others that Zhang Yan had been looking for, and hurried over. The trees and vines that blocked their way, but when Jolie and others approached, they automatically gave way to a path, which made them feel in shock. However, the figure of senior brother Lu in the middle let them go in again, holding the signal in his hand. If there is danger, you can inform senior brother Zhang and the others at any time. Brother Lu Chiu's Hung clasped his hands in front of his chest, and was supported by layers of branches and vines under him. Jolie and others subconsciously relaxed their steps when they saw this scene. They always knew that senior brother Lu was a great beauty. Lying there with a smile on the corner of his mouth, his charm and appearance are better than ever before. Maybe it's because the awake senior brother Lu is always so sharp and not a quiet temperament, so at this moment it gives people an illusion that he is so beautiful. When he is awake, if anyone dares to say that senior brother Lu is a great beauty, maybe that person is tired of living. Senior brother Lu also seemed calmer in front of senior brother Zhang. There were several other missing brothers and sisters lying here. Only brother Lu received the best treatment. Others were lying on top of each other, and one was hung upside down, but no one was awake. It's the illusory demon liquid. Quick, give them the red profound pill. Jolie hurriedly took out the pills to serve senior brother Lu, and handed the other senior brothers and sisters to the people around him. The ghostly place was full of illusory demon liquid before. If it wasn't for the red profound pill on their bodies, they would have been planted there long ago. If so, without Qi Changjai's shocking sword to bring them out, sooner or later, they would not be able to escape the day they became nourishment. However, the situation of these people is obviously better than that of the people who returned to the academy. Jolie didn't dare to leave, so he had people go back the same way to deliver a letter to Zhang Yan and others. It didn't take long for Zhang Yan and the others to join Zhou Li. Qi Changjai's complexion turned rosy after adjusting his breath rate. This time, he forcibly improved his strength, but it turned out to have the effect of breaking and standing again, and the speed of healing of old wounds accelerated. Qi Changjai was not too surprised by this result, and attributed it to Gu Yao's astral body technique. It turned out that Jindan shattered the spiritual power and sword qi that had been lurking in his body, which had been preventing him from repairing his body. The destructive power of sword qi was extremely strong. When you insist on practicing astral body art, in addition to attracting the external spiritual power to nourish the body, you can also gradually transform these sword qi into spiritual qi into the body from the inside out, and make the body stronger and stronger. After a year of conditioning and training, his body is now much stronger than the original Jindan period. Qi Changjai is now confident that his strength will improve a lot after he re-establishes the elixir. This situation makes him very excited, and it is unacceptable that he does not feel that falling into the cracks in the space will cause the broken elixir to regress. Something happened. However, not everyone will have such an encounter with him. Qi Changjai looked at Gu Yao, who was touching the cat's head beside him, and the corners of his mouth twitched slightly. If he hadn't met Gu Yao, maybe he would have been raging with the sword energy day by day. Gradually wear away the fighting spirit and enterprising spirit, from then on decadent. Seeing Qi Changjai's gaze, Gu Yao looked over and said, "Brother Ye, are you still feeling unwell?" Tian Firong and Little Fatty also pricked up their ears. Qi Changjai is a big killer on their side. If things go wrong, it will be bad. They also want to become stronger, but this process cannot be accomplished overnight. The corners of Qi Changjai's mouth curled up. No, the situation is better than I expected. After the injury is healed this time, I can build a foundation at any time. Really? Great. Gu Yao was sincerely happy for Qi Changjai, and Tian Firong and Little Fatty were also delighted when they heard it. For the former Tianfirong, the foundation was so far away and unattainable. Every time he saw his aunt, his scalp tingled, and he wanted to hide away. The ancestors of the family had not seen much since birth. Looking back, now, not to mention that Chi Changjai can build a foundation soon, even he himself dared to have the ambition to build a foundation. Isn't it just building a foundation? Who can't build a foundation? It's just a pill, you can also boldly look forward to it. People have to pursue it, right? When Gu Yao and the others came over, Lu Qiuzheng and others had just woken up slowly. Gu Yao and the others had already heard about Lu Qiusheng's name, but this person often did tasks outside and was in charge of affairs outside the Xingyu Chamber of Commerce. It is said that he's still ruthless, so he hasn't met in the academy for more than half a year, so he's naturally a little curious about this person. But when he first came, he couldn't see his face, because as soon as he woke up and saw Zhang Yan, he hugged him and buried his whole head in Zhang Yan's abdomen. Gu Yao and the others could only see the black head with disheveled hair, and senior brother Lu, who is in such a posture, is somewhat inconsistent with the legendary image of ruthlessness. Zhou Likao, Gu Yao and the others winked at them. It's not uncommon for senior brother Lu and senior brother Zhang to be in such a situation. There is no need to make a fuss. In this Xingyu Merchant Guild, senior brother Lu only listens to senior brother Jiang's words. 4-2. Okay, just wake up. Let junior brother Gu help you to check whether your body has completely improved. Zhang Yan patted Lu Qiuzheng on the back of the head indulgently. It is rare to see such a coquettish appearance now. Yan's heart also softened, and Qiuzheng suffered during this time. Lu Qiuzheng was sitting there halfway, with one eye showing from Zhang Yan's abdomen, and squinting to look at the elder brother Gu, who had heard the name from the elder brother and others in the past 6 months. It's so good. Better than him. Just when he was about to glance at him with his critical eyes, there was a stern look next to him. Lu Qiuzheng could clearly see that it was a man standing next to Gu Yao, and he could clearly see the posture he and Gu Yao were standing with. The picky and unpleasant look in the room quickly receded, and he also showed a big smile, stood up and stretched, then leaned on Zhang Yan, folded his arms and said, "Okay, just listen to senior brother, let our little one. Junior brother Gu, let me see it. Junior brother Gu is my savior. Senior brother, do you think so?" "Yes," Zhang Yan said helplessly and indulgently, "without the Hongxian pill researched by junior brother Gu, we would not be able to come here, nor would we be able to see you in Qiuzheng." Gu Yao also noticed the change in Lu Qiusheng's attitude before and after. Although he didn't know the reason for this change, it didn't prevent him from seeing that Lu Qiuzheng had a monopoly on brother Zhang Yan and was very rogue. No wonder brother Zhou mentioned this number. When the characters show a headache. But what is the name of junior brother Gu? What is the reason for adding the word small? Because the younger brother is the same as the younger brother. Gu Yao came over to check on Lu Qiuzheng and several others, and found that Lu Qiusheng's condition was much better than the others. Perhaps without his presence, it would not be long before Lu Qiuzheng himself would recover slowly. Gu Yao suppressed his curiosity that he wanted to further dissect and explore. Presumably Lu Qiuzheng also belonged to the type of bereaved family that Senior Su Chen said. I don't know which branch he belonged to. Knowing that Lu Qiuzheng was fine, Zhang Yan was relieved. They stayed here for the time being and waited for others to recover before finding a way out. Zhang Yan took Lu Qiuzheng to another place to talk, while Gu Yao asked Su Chen about Lu Qiuzheng in his mind, wondering if Su Chen could see something. Previously, Su Chen had been watching the situation around Gu Yao with a cold eye, and it was not enough if he didn't watch. He couldn't help much if he wanted to help in this state. On the contrary, Chi Changjai, who was beside Gu Yao, was calm when he was in trouble. His strength was not bad, and it was enough to protect Gu Yao. Coupled with the mysterious cat cub beside Gu Yao, it is enough to deal with the situation here. At this time, when Gu Yao took the initiative to ask him a question, Su Chen said, you didn't realize that you are in a small secret realm now. Small secret realm, Guyao was stunned. When did we enter the secret realm? Could it be that, when we first came out of the secret valley, we stepped into the secret realm with one foot? This secret realm, and the book we read, it's so different from what I've heard before. Su Chen laughed and said, who told you what the secret realm is like? If you don't believe me, you can try to send a message to see if it can be spread, and it's not that there was a vision here before, it should be caused by the opening of the small secret realm. A vision? Guyao scratched his ears and scratched his cheeks. Seeing the strange gaze from Qi Changjai, he took Qi Changjai aside and said, we are now in a small secret realm. Brother Ye, do you know? Su Chen rolled his eyes in the space. This little idiot has to tell the kid Qi Changjai everything, and he is not afraid of exposing himself. He feels that Qi Changjai is already suspicious, but he has endured it until now. Is it because seeing Guyao can get more benefits, or because of something else? Su Chen touched his chin and thought. Anyway, he felt that Qi Changjai had a bad heart towards Guyao, so Guyao, a little fool, regarded people as a good person. He, don't try to avoid his eyes. Turn and run away. Little secret realm, Qi Changjai narrowed his eyes when he heard these three words, and then rubbed the top of Guyao's hair. I also found a lot of suspicious things after being reminded by Xiaoao. It seems that it was because he entered a small secret realm by mistake, and that senior brother Lu Qiuzheng has survived until now. There must be something special about him, and it is related to the small secret realm. Su Chen would applaud Qi Changjai when he heard it. After all, he knew that Guyao had never told Qi Changjai about the bereaved family. If Qi Changjai followed this line, he might find out the truth. Thinking that Lu Qiuzheng had a private conversation with Zhang Yan, Qi Changjai said, maybe senior brother Lu knows something. We will make a decision after he and senior brother Zhang have discussed it. Guyao said with confidence, okay. Su Chen rolled his eyes. At this moment, Tianfu Academy and Qingxiumen joined forces, and the monks they sent also broke into the secret valley. After paying some price, they passed through the secret valley, but there was still no whereabouts of Zhang Yan, Yaoi, and his party. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 104. The monks from Tianfu Academy and Qingxiumen followed the traces left by the students and disciples all the way here, but they lost their traces. Qingxiumen's elder Gan wanted to gloat over the misfortune. Tianfu Academy just accepted a talented alchemist, so there was a problem and the whereabouts were unknown, but when he thought of his own disciples being trapped somewhere, he couldn't laugh anymore. Even the owner of Qian Valley, Hugu, personally asked about this matter. He hoped that the two parties could bring Guyao back safe and sound. He still had a lot of questions that he wanted to discuss with Guyao, whether it was Tianfu College or Qingxiumen. Don't give him this face. Let's look for it separately, and if anyone finds it, send a signal to notify the other party, Elder Gan suggested. Tianfu Academy was led by Elder Yi himself, and immediately responded, okay, split up. He also thinks that Elder Gan is holding him back. If it weren't for the people from Qingxiumen, he would have chased after him long ago, and maybe he could have found Qi Changjai. Now that there is no trace of him, he is so worried. That kid must not have an accident. His expectations were all on Qi Changjai. As far as he knew, Qi Changjai had already unlocked the ban on that jade slip, so he didn't know how to learn. In a little secret. Relying on his weakness, Lu Qiuzheng put his head on Zhang Yan's shoulder like a rogue, but he refused to stand and speak properly. Yes, I have to let my senior brother take good care of him. Zhang Yan patted his head helplessly. If you have something to say, hurry up, everyone else is waiting. Everyone else gave them a chance to discuss it first. Lu Qiuzheng said indifferently, just let them wait, and he didn't rush to reincarnate. Of course, this sentence is only in the stomach. Senior brother, I have a problem with my body, brother, do you care about me? Zhang Yan's black line, no matter how good his temper is, he will be irritated, and he slaps hard, come on. Senior brother really doesn't hurt me anymore. Lu Hung raised his head with a sad expression, but Zhang Yan's aura was shaken to the ground with goosebumps. I had a dream. After I woke up from this dream, I found that there were more things in my mind, such as, illusory demon race and illusory demon vine. While talking, Lu Hung watched his senior brother's reaction carefully. Zhang Yan just frowned slightly and stretched it out again, sighing, you should have met an opportunity, awakened your bloodline and got the inheritance memory, I don't know what it is. Good or bad. In just a few words, he can guess what happened to Lu Hung. If outsiders, especially Shifang City, know about it, Chu Hung will only be controlled by them. What he knows about Tianfu Academy and Tianlin continent much more than Lu Hung. Senior brother, don't worry, when you wake up, I'm much stronger than before, and I can better protect you, brother, Lu Hung said quickly. Zhang Yan smiled and said, tell me about the whole process in detail. After he heard it, what could be revealed and what could not be revealed and had to be hidden, he had to tell Chu Hung. Okay, Lu Hung didn't have any secrets to Zhang Yan, and he would try his best to satisfy his brother if he wanted to know anything. Therefore, Zhang Yan knew that they had entered a small secret realm, and they were the former members of the illusory demon clan. The reason why Lu Hung and his companions were able to survive was because Lu Hung had a little blood of the illusory demon race in his body. Others were in a coma and immersed in their own illusion, while Lu Hung was absorbing the illusory demon. Family heritage. But something was vying with me for my body, and I almost failed. Later, I felt the breath of my senior brother, and I knew that my senior brother came to save me. As soon as I woke up, I saw my senior brother. Lu Hung said cheerfully. Zhang Yan paused for a moment while stroking his head, he couldn't help laughing and laughing. At that time, it should be Qi Changjai's sword that slashed the world of flowers and plants that blocked the road, which was also equivalent to indirectly saving Lu Hung, plus Guyao Lian. He and Chu Hung owe Guyao a great deal of the Hongxian pill that he made. It's not me, it's junior brother Guyao and brother Qi. Zhang Yan told Lu Hung about the situation after entering the small secret realm, but he didn't want junior brother to be ungrateful, and Qi Changjai himself was a person of extraordinary origin. It is of great significance to Tianfu College. It turned out to be him, that senior brother looks at me and him, who is more powerful. Lu Hung couldn't see his senior brother admiring others. Zhang Yan sighed, kissed Shang Lu Hung on the forehead, then patted his head and said, don't make trouble, in my brother's heart, Chu Hung is of course the most important, but in terms of strength, you are indeed worse than him. Lu Hung didn't know whether to be happy or annoyed. Well, it's better to be happy, after all, the senior brother admitted that he was the most important, so let the senior brother go. Zhang Yan discussed with Lu Hung for a while before going out, and told Guyao and the others. Chu Hung and the others broke into the small secret realm by mistake, and got some opportunities, but if brother Qi didn't act in time, Chu Hung might not have been able to wake up, so this time, I would like to thank brother Qi and junior brother Gu for their help, taking advantage of the time when Chu Hung and the others need to adjust their breaths and recover. Junior brother Gu will take a look around here to see if there is anything of interest, you can collect them. Guyao was more interested than this. Seeing that Qi Changjai had no objection, he immediately nodded and agreed. Lu Hung saw that Guyao had asked Qi Changjai's opinion first, and then nodded in agreement. A flash of interest flashed in his eyes. Since that was the case, he didn't mind that his brother was a little nicer to the younger brother Gu, he couldn't be ungrateful in the eyes of his brother. People. Zhang Yan felt sorry for Guyao and Qi Changjai, and didn't tell the secret that this secret realm was already controlled by Chu Sheng, but maybe Qi Changjai and the others would guess something. After all, The crisis in the secret realm has been lifted now. In the next few days, Lu Qiu's Hung and the brothers and sisters who just woke up were busy restoring their cultivation. Guyao and Qi Changjai wandered around here, collecting all kinds of plants and other specimens they had never seen before. Zhang Yan would also die in the bodies of the monks in the secret realm were put away, including the storage bags they left behind. While collecting, Guyao listened to Su Chen shouting in his mind, "You don't mind that your senior brothers lied to you? They must not tell the truth, and now this little secret realm is probably in their hands, your way. Senior brother, it is definitely a remnant of the illusory demon clan, and his bloodline should not be low now." Guyao collected another spirit grass. On the surface, it was put into a storage bag, but it was actually transferred into the space. He told Senior Su Chen to help him plant it in the spirit field. It will gradually disappear, which is not what he likes to see. At this time, he is very fortunate that he has a spiritual field space that can be planted, or a spiritual field space that can live on anything. For him, it is the best treasure. After seeing Su Chen help him plant spirit grass, Guyao slowly replied in his mind. "This is not cheating, it is just a kind of concealment. Just like I concealed your existence from brother Ye, senior brother Zhang and senior brother Lu also have reasons for concealing it. I can understand that if this matter is leaked out, it is estimated that it will bring great harm. The good result, if brother Zhang told us, it would have burdened us more, so it is better to pretend that we don't know." What is Xiaoao thinking? Qi Changjai found that Guyao was in a daze again. A flash of thought flashed in his eyes. Guyao said that he had a master, but he always felt that the master Guyao said seemed to be the same by his side. He can often guide him, so Guyao's alchemy technique can progress rapidly, but such a mysterious and unpredictable master, wouldn't he really have bad intentions against Guyao? Ah! Guyao returned to his senses, dripping sweat, and hurriedly said, "I'm thinking about senior brother Zhang and senior brother Lu. How will they deal with the situation outside when we leave, the senior management of the academy, as well as the senior management of Qingxiumen, how to explain? After all, many students and disciples have died, so it is impossible not to pursue anything, and some things cannot stand scrutiny. They should be mentally prepared. Xiaoao don't have to worry." Qi Changjai touched the top of Guyao's hair. Guyao nodded. It was really not his turn to worry about this, and he continued to collect spirit grass. Qi Changjai looked up at the center of the small secret realm, where Lu Qiu's Hung and the others were. Thinking of the situation of the illusory demon vine and the changes before and after the secret realm, he guessed something in his heart. Obviously, Xiaoao also knew what he knew. With so many secrets, he thought he was from a place with a higher level of self-cultivation, and thought he was familiar with the world. But just like what he and Guyao said, it's not his turn to worry about this. The spiritual energy in the small secret realm is much richer than the outside, so after recovering from the injuries on his body, Qi Changjai simply broke through in the small secret realm. After all, the higher his cultivation, the better for him and Guyao. Because it was the second time, the foundation was successfully established, and when he came out again, he had become a foundation-building sword cultivator, which attracted the envy of Guyao and Tianfirong. Even Zhou was not exempt. "No, you don't even need to build a foundation pill, so this is the foundation," Zhou then remembered. After all, he didn't report to the academy, and Guyao didn't reach the strength of refining the foundation pill, so the conclusion is only one, is that you don't have to use the foundation establishment pill. This kind of qualification is too unbelievable, isn't it? Tianfirong said triumphantly, "If you don't look at who Qi is, how can you use a foundation pill? If you want to build a foundation, brother Qi will build a foundation, and if you want to form an elixir, you will make an elixir. How can those laity be on a par?" Zhang Yan, Lu Qiu's Hung, and the others who came from the other side were delighted to hear it. They came together to congratulate Qi Changjai on the success of foundation building. Looking at Guyao again, as expected by Zhang Yan and the others, they have also become monks on the 7th level of Qi refining. Yes, it is indeed beneficial to come out and practice. Let's leave now. I'm worried that someone will look for us outside. Qiu Sheng is more familiar with the environment here, so he can take us away, Zhang Yan said. No one disagreed, everyone took everything with them, and they could leave if they wanted to. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 105. Leaving the little secret realm was a very simple process. After a wave of fluctuations, the scenery in front had changed, and the exotic flowers and plants in the little secret realm disappeared behind them, and they returned to the edge of the secret valley. Everyone noticed the fluctuation before and gave an explanation for it. It must be a spatial fluctuation. Now that they have left the space of the small secret realm and returned to reality, the scenery they see in their natural eyes will not change. It's the same, but it's not easy to find the direction of the fluctuation and the small secret realm again. As soon as they came out, Zhang Yan and the others found the contact information left by the seniors of the academy and contacted them quickly, but within a day or so, the people from the academy and Qingxiumen rushed over to meet. When Elder Gan saw Zhang Yan's group clearly, his face instantly became extremely ugly. We Qingxiumen's disciples are not with you. In other words, why are the people around Lu Qiu's hung from Tianfu Academy, and the disciples of Qingxiumen were abandoned by them? If these people don't tell the truth, she would rather go to war with Tianfu Academy. Zhang Yan sighed in his heart. It wasn't that he didn't want to save Qingxiumen's disciples, but that there were only a few companions left by Lu Qiu's hung at that time, and all the others who entered the small secret realm were killed under the consciousness of competing with Qiu's hung for their bodies. They rushed in time. If it weren't for the sword at the critical moment of Qi Changjai, even Qiu Shen might not have survived. Zhang Yan took 2 storage bags and gave them to the senior management of the 2 parties. He briefly described the experience of his party. We stepped into the small secret realm here, but we didn't know it before. We found Zhao Min's body not long after we entered, and only then did we know the abnormality inside. If it wasn't for Brother Qi forcibly improving our strength at a critical moment, maybe the same is true for a few of us. Afterwards, they found a few comatose junior brother Lu inside, and while waiting for them to wake up, they repaired inside, and junior brother Lu and the others did not dare to delay after recovering, so they rushed out. Elder Gan's divine sense penetrated into the storage bag, and just a glance made her face more gloomy. Everything left on the corpse was enough to prove what they experienced before they died, and they couldn't push their deaths to Zhang Yan and Lu Qiu's hung. But how could he be willing to let them go so easily? What about the little secret realm? You just came out of the little secret realm, so you should know how to get in. Zhang Yan said neither humbly nor arrogantly, inadvertently broke in. When you came out, you only needed to walk in one direction and then left, but if you want to enter again, you can't figure it out. Forgive our incompetence. Yeah, Lu Qiu's hung jumped out, not wanting the old witch to embarrass senior brother alone. We entered the small secret realm at the end of the secret valley at the time, and senior brother and the others also entered here. If senior wants to go in, you might as well stay. Look carefully here, maybe you can get in by mistake. Fang Wangru glanced at Elder Gan, then turned to look at Lu Qiu's hung with approval in his eyes. That's right, some people just have bad luck. I'm lucky if I get it, but I'm lucky if I lose it. It can't be forced. Okay, since you've come out alive, let's go back to the academy, and be careful next time. It's not like you have such a good life every time. The last words seemed to be reprimanding their own students, but in fact they are not favoring their own students. Elder Yi, who came with him, was looking at Qi Changjai with a look of relief, because he found out that he had built a foundation, and the boss was happy. As for what Elder Gan said, he was full of farts in his heart. If you don't give up on the secret realm, you can keep people here to guard it. We go back, and you keep up. The characteristics pointed to Chi Changjai and Guyao, but Guyao was the person who Huguzi pointed out and knew what Guyao was about. Whatever he did, Elder Yi would not underestimate him. Yes, Guyao and the others all looked like good students. They followed Wang Ru and Elder Yi above, so angry that Elder Gan had nothing to do, so they could only go back and make a long-term plan. On the way back, Guyao also knew that there was no secret realm in the depths of the Kukyu Mountains, both big and small, so this is the place where Tianfu College and Kingshuman have to fight. In the end, no one gave a step, so as a common trial ground for both parties. As for those who did not survive, this place of trial is rich in resources, but the degree of danger is also not low. I don't know how many students and disciples and outsiders are buried here every year, so I have stayed here for a long time. Even in such a situation, one can maintain a normal state of mind, which is the reality and normality in the world of self-cultivation. However, after hearing that Huguzi was still on top of Dan Peak, Guyao cast an inquiring look at the little fat man. Did the little fat man continue to hide or recognize Huguzi? If you let the people outside, including those around you, know the true identity of the little fat man, I don't know how many jaws will drop. Little Fatty should have thought that his grandfather couldn't leave so easily after seeing the medicinal pills made by Guyao, but he still didn't decide whether to see him or not, so he lost a lot of hair on the way back because of troubles, which attracted Tianfirong. He also asked Guyao curiously, "What's wrong with the little fat man?" The closer he gets to the academy, the more boring he becomes. Guyao replied, "I know the reason, but it's up to the little fat man to say it himself." Tianfirong jumped, "That means I'm the only one who doesn't know? Is this still a friend?" Guyao said happily, "Who made you stupid?" "Brother, yeah, and I guessed it by ourselves." Tianfirong's puffed up anger suddenly leaked out. If you don't take such a blow to people, not everyone is like Guyao and Chi Changjai. He was taken aside by Elder Yi, and the two of them practiced hand-to-hand. Lu Qiu's hung was itchy, so he also went up to join in the fun, wanting to know how great Chi Changjai was, and asked his senior brother to praise him so much. However, Lu Qiu's hung could not last long under Chi Changjai's hands, and neither of them used spiritual power. Relying solely on swordsmanship and physical strength, Chi Changjai easily defeated Lu Qiu's hung. If this uses spiritual power and sword energy, Lu Qiu's hung will lose even more terrible. In the end, Lu Qiu's hung can only go to his senior brother to ask for touch and comfort. Elder Gan and the Kingshuman people, although they were so annoyed that they didn't even want to talk to the people from Tianfu Academy, they had to follow him when they thought that Hugu was still in Tianfu Academy. The most interesting and most troublesome thing for Guyao on this journey is that there are several female disciples of Kingshuman who often come to him to ask him questions about alchemy. If it is really good at alchemy, Guyao is very happy to communicate with them, but no matter how slow he is, he also finds that these female disciples are only using this excuse to approach him. They have one thing in common, that is, their looks are superior. Although Harika is a little dull, he has experienced some things before, so it is clear that Kingshuman is digging the wall, and he is the one who digs. If he was a native of Guyao who was successful, he might not understand it so quickly, or he would become complacent, but in his last life in the interstellar world, Guyao has experienced many times of digging, and sending beautiful women is the most common. The means, and even those women from aristocratic families who put down their bodies and took the initiative to approach him, made him unbearable until he died in the end. In fact, he was still a boy. It was a good life in this world, and he rolled over the sheets as soon as he came up. Thinking like this, Guyao looked at Chi Changjai uncontrollably, his face a little hot. Lu Qiu's hung was sitting with his senior brother, squinting to see what was going on Guyao's side. Of course he was just watching the fun. Yes, there is also Tim Dehuo, little Gu junior brother Yanfu is not shallow, isn't that guy with the surname Chi not worried at all? Qin Xiumen really worked hard, and specially called Ren Yufeng in the door, so that Ren Yufeng's pursuit and admirers would know how many enemies Xiaogu Jr. brother had to increase. Those people wouldn't blame Elder Gan who arranged this move and Ren Yufeng who came with a purpose. They would only blame Gu Yao and regard him as an enemy. Even if Qin Xiumen could dig Gu Yao over, it is estimated that once they entered the door, they would be attacked. A lot of provocation, life will not be easy. Zhang Yan smiled, Brother Qi is not worried, it's not our time to worry about it, not to mention that you underestimate Junior Brother Gu. Junior Brother Gu looks simple, but he is not stupid, on the contrary, he is very smart, how can he not see through? In my heart, Junior Brother Gu understands. They were watching the show, and Gu Yao had already declined the request of the female cultivator named Ren Yufeng. If it wasn't for Elder Gan's words, Ren Yufeng, the arrogant girl of the sky, almost walked away. Saying something, he turned and left with a cold face. She had just left on the front foot, and the back foot came back late at night. Gu Yao was relieved to see that he was there. Such a blessing is really unbearable. That guy is too much. Junior sister Ren went to ask for it in person, but he didn't even nod to agree. Is this still a man? He doesn't have any pity and cherishing the jade. As soon as Ren Yufeng came back, someone complained for her, and her appearance was indeed outstanding. Even the male students of Tianfu Academy will be tempted when they see it, and want to pursue it. That's right, I heard that he is the talent of the four spiritual roots. What is there to be proud of? Even now, I don't know how this cultivation base came from. Maybe I used some means to take a shortcut. Building a foundation is not that easy. But junior sister Ren is a good seedling that the headmaster is optimistic about, and she gets the key training as soon as she enters the door. If you leave the shit, you will be able to inherit the alchemy technique. Don't look at Elder Gan's attention to him now. It's not for Hugu's sake. I don't see it because he is still in Tianfu Academy. If we change our Qin Xiumen, maybe we can let Master Hugu cultivate a good alchemist for us. Even if we don't cultivate it, it will be much easier for Qin Xiumen to go to Qian Valley to ask for alchemy. Ren Yufeng listened to these grievances for her, but her face did not improve at all. It was because she knew what Elder Gan and the others were that made her even more upset. She didn't dare to hate Elder Gan, but she turned her anger on Gu Yao. Just staring at Gu Yao, a sharp gaze came over, Ren Yufeng's face turned pale. She knew who this was. In fact, this person was more attractive than Gu Yao, but this person's maintenance of Gu Yao was also it is obvious to all. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 106. Without waiting for Qin Xiumen to make another small move, Tianfu Academy arrived, and Lu Qiu's Hung said that junior brother Gu was still very determined. As for Gu Yao's protest about the name, Lu Qiu's Hung took him to him with a smile, and he was still called after the original name. Junior brother Little Gu, if you need any spiritual grass in the future, feel free to find me or senior brother. Even if it is scarce, senior brother Lu, I will try to get it for you. Our Xingyu Chamber of Commerce and you senior brother Zhang are not like some people who are narrow-minded and tolerant. Inhuman. Lu Qiusheng's voice is not small, and it spread far and wide, so that the whole face of Danfan people who came to hear the news turned black. This Lu Qiu's Hung was deliberately targeting their Danfan, and he deliberately waited to say at this time. Listen to them, the most unlikable person in the Xingyu Chamber of Commerce is Lu Qiu's Hung, who has the most rebellious temperament, but he is not weak and Zhang Yan protects him, otherwise his mouth would have been torn apart. Ling Qi came to pick him up in person, and he could only pretend that he didn't hear what Lu Qiu's Hung said. Since the red profound pill, Dan Feng can no longer suppress Gu Yao, so the previous bans have long been revoked, let alone Dan Feng, Even those shopkeepers are very regretful, not to mention the card spirit grass. They can't wait to send a few baskets of spirit grass to Guyao, so that he can forget the unpleasantness before. Junior brother Gu, Master Gu has been waiting for junior brother Gu at Danfan, and I am here to pick up junior brother Gu. Guyao turned his head to look at the little fat man. The latter hesitated twice and said, "Second brother Tian and I should go back first. We been away for a while, and the yard has to be cleaned up." Guyao knew that little fatty hadn't thought of meeting his grandfather, so he didn't force him, nodded and said, "Okay, I'll go with brother Ye, and I'll leave the rest to you. By the way, you guys have this pill. Take it to the store." As soon as this medicinal pill was taken out, whether it was from the Xingyu Chamber of Commerce, Danfan, or even the people from Qingxiumen who had not left, they all wanted to buy them all, but they were stared at by so many people, so it was not easy to take the lead. "Start." Zhang Yan waved at Guyao, "Go ahead, contact us if you need to." Guyao nodded, and after saying goodbye to everyone, he and Qi Changjai went to Danfan with Ling Qi and the others. It was impossible to wait for Huguzi to see him in person. The posture of this junior still had to be set well. From the experience of dealing with everyone, Guyao did not have the slightest timidity in his heart for the upcoming meeting with Huguzi. However, Elder Yi sent Guyao and Qi Changjai to Dan Peak all the way. Although he did not continue to enter Dan Peak, he put down that Qi Changjai and Guyao were both members of Sword Peak. "Be careful, don't take it lightly." Then, without waiting for Ling Qi and others to respond, Chao Qi Changjai and Guyao slapped their heads, waved their sleeves, and Yu Jian escaped. Guyao couldn't help but smile at the gesture of maintenance. It's okay to say that Elder Yi is thirsty for talent, or that he has another purpose. This time he personally went to Kukyu Mountains to find Qi Changjai, and the latter was still a little moved, so when Elder Yi proposed to let him join Ji Unfeng again, Qi Changjai Changye didn't chirk anymore, but he still had to bring Guyao. He didn't worry about keeping Guyao, and he might have to join Danfan. Although Elder Yi regretted that Guyao was not a sword cultivator, there was nothing wrong with it. Ji Unfeng got this. Alchemist, no loss. Elder Yi walked in a dashing manner, but Ling Qi and the others who were left behind had a black face. Guyao's current alchemy skills have been recognized, and it is impossible for him to be suppressed again if he enters Danfan again. Bad name. Sound, but I didn't expect Elder Yi to be so protective of his shortcomings, and he would get people over without saying hello. Junior brother Gu, you. Ling Qi wanted to save him again. Senior brother Ling, let's go to see Master Hugu. Guyao smiled, as if Elder Yi didn't do anything serious. Ling Qi held his breath, okay, please. The senior brother didn't say anything, and the others could only swallow the breath. Now it's impossible to give Guyao any other face, no matter if there is any alchemist behind him, just rely on the red profound pill he took out. As well as the approval of Master Hugu, you can no longer treat him with the previous attitude, otherwise Guyao abandoned Tianfu College and entered Qian Valley, then the entire Tianfu College would become a joke in Tianlin continent again. This is not forcing people out alive. What? Guyao and Qi Changjai followed Ling Qi and the others to the mid-mountain of Danfan and landed on the platform. After getting the news, Huguzi walked out in big strides. He couldn't wait for Guyao's arrival, and he didn't see the two of them at all. The disciple's ugly face. You are Guyao? Good. Good. Yes, come to the pill room with me. Huguzi forgot what was going on as soon as he saw Guyao, and only pills and pills were left in his eyes. Although Guyao's the age is beyond his expectations, very young, but during this time he has obtained a lot of medicinal pills that Guyao personally refined, and it can be seen that Guyao is a rare genius of pill arts, and he is happy to see it. As soon as Guyao saw Huguzi, he could see what kind of person he was, and he was not unhappy. After looking at Qi Changjai, he said, okay, Guyao also asked Senior to give more advice. After that, he went to him with Huguzu. Dan room here. Huguzu didn't realize the unpleasantness between Guyao and Danfan at all, but it was because the best pill room in Tianfa College was in Danfan, and he didn't want to move the nest as soon as he came here, and Yu Hao Guyao understood it very well. It is understandable that this kind of technical nerd who focuses on his own professional field has some shortcomings such as emotional intelligence. Sometimes he is also such a person, and he likes to deal with such people. Of course, for people like Huguzu, it is the little fat man who suffers. It is difficult for Huguzu to realize the real situation of the little fat man in Qian Valley. As soon as Guyao came to Danfan, he plunged into the pill room with Lord Hugu. He had never even seen the face of Peak Lord. How could the people of Danfan be? Even Peak Master Lin couldn't say anything, and he knew a thing or two about Master Hugu's temperament. It's not an exaggeration to describe it as a danzi, so even if you are dissatisfied, you can only press it. So, Chi Changjai also temporarily stationed at Dan Peak, just outside the Dan room. Ling Chi arranged a training room for him. Chi Changjai did not refuse. When Guyao entered the pill room, he didn't come out again in a short time. The people of Dan Peak, including the disciples of Huguzu, didn't dare to go in to disturb him. Of course, these things are from the people of Danfan. Sang Shuo and Wan Saiking knew that their master hated being interrupted the most, so they kept outside waiting for their master to call. They were blasted out by their master, but they didn't expect Chi Changjai to go in intact and come out intact, much to the disappointment of the two. When Chi Changjai came out, he cast a faint glance in the direction of the two of them. They thought that they didn't know that they were peeping with their divine senses if they didn't show up. Unexpectedly, the direct disciple of Huguzu has such a character. It is no wonder that his own grandson couldn't stay in Qian Valley and tried his best to escape. Guyao didn't pay attention, but he saw that when Guyao first came, Huguzu personally greeted him and invited Guyao into the pill room. How ugly the faces of these two people are, but Chi Changjai has not relaxed his guard against them. These two people will never reach the realm of their master and Guyao, and their achievements in alchemy are very limited. Wei Jinzi and his senior brother Ling Qi watched Chi Changjai go in and out from a distance. How many days is this? I have never seen Chi Changjai being expelled before. Sometimes Huguzu has a very high tolerance for geniuses, and can bear the interruption of people coming in and out. Wei Jinzi was jealous and injustice. Senior brother, is Guyao really so good? Let Huguzu look at him in such a different way, regardless of the difference in identity. One is a cultivator who has established a foundation, and the other is just a little cultivator. Wei Jinzi thought that Guyao could go in and would not stay for long, but it has been a few days, and no one has come out, but it is rumored from inside. Instructed to send a batch of spirit grass in, Dan Feng could only obey. Ling Qi sighed in his heart. Probably no one would agree with this kind of treatment. Little junior brother, your talent is the best among us. As long as you work hard towards a goal, you will achieve it sooner or later. As for Gu Harika, we don't need to compare with him, otherwise, it's only us who lose our sense of normality. If you lose your sense of normalcy, it will be difficult for this alchemy technique to progress for a long time. Ling Qi can see that although Hugu has a high status, he treats Guyao as an equal alchemist, otherwise he will not enter it. Even if he didn't come out for a few days, even if he was pointing out Guyao, he was very happy with Guyao's talent. Wei Jinzi was stunned. Is he really that powerful? Ling Qi just looked at him and didn't speak. The younger brother's tone was like that. In fact, he already recognized it in his heart, but he didn't want to admit defeat. After a long while, Wei Jinzi finally gave a wry smile and had to admit this ruthless and cruel reality. Some people are born to suppress others' existence, and then said again, we are not the worst, no matter how miserable we are than the two disciples of Lord Hugu. It's better, I think Huguzu pays more attention to Guyao than to them, and those two guys are not very conscientious people. The same kind looked at the same kind, and Wei Jianzi found out what kind of people the two were when he came into contact with them. He tried to take the opportunity to ask Master Hugu for advice several times, but was stopped by the two, and looked at him with disdainful eyes. But they were not crushed by Gu Yao in the same way. Thinking of this, Wei Jianzi felt a lot better. Ling Qi laughed and could only pat his junior brother on the shoulder. I have to say, this is also a good solution. Not only are Danfan up and down watching the movements of Gu Yao and Hu Guzi, but the entire academy is watching Danfan. Even the person who suspected Gu Yao in the past now knows that this person has two brushes. Lu Qiuzheng heard a report on Danfan's situation in the Xingyu Chamber of Commerce, his eyes flashed, and he said, "Junior brother Xiaogu is really good, brother, how can I thank junior brother Xiaogu?" Zhang Yan smiled and said, "It's better to give Gu junior brother some more spiritual herbs, the more unusual the better. He likes to study them." "That's good, that's it." If it was replaced with other things, Lu Qiuzheng would still have a headache, but who made him inherit a small secret realm just now? Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 107. The days when Gu Yao and Hu Guzi stayed together were just discussing alchemy techniques, as well as alchemy. In the eyes of others, it was very monotonous and boring, but the two of them were very interested and full of interest. Master Hu Gu cherished his talents and felt that although Gu Yao had the guidance of famous teachers, he still lacked some basics, so he did not hesitate to give guidance, which made Gu Yao's understanding of basic alchemy and alchemy go deeper. The old-fashioned alchemy also opened a new window for Hu Guzi, making him feel that after going back to a closed room to digest these contents and integrating them into his alchemy will definitely be able to go to a higher level. Lord Hu Gu invited Gu Yao as a young friend, but unfortunately he was not able to enter Qian Valley, but he gave Gu Yao a special pass. With this token he could enter Qian Valley at any time. Gu Yao is also very grateful to Master Hu Gu. He has no open-mindedness, and he does not cherish himself. He treats alchemy techniques rigorously and openly, so he can accept his views. It can be said that Hu Guzi is a very good scholar-type alchemist, and Senior Su Chen treats him well. For Su Chen, the starting point is too high. Some basic things have become instinctive for Su Chen, but it is not easy for Hu Guzi to break it apart, so Gu Yao still learns a lot from Hu Guzi. Master Hu Gu, Gu Yao thought for a while and said, "I heard that Master Hu has never given up looking for Master Hu Shao. I wonder if there is any whereabouts now." Hu Guzi was still immersed in the alchemy technique just now, and when he heard this, the whole person quickly extracted it from it, with a look of frustration on his face. "It's my grandfather who can't help him, so far I haven't been able to find out his whereabouts. And the city lord's mansion of Shifang City has been searched in many ways, but there is still no trace, but unfortunately Wei Cai does not have the talent as a little friend, otherwise. His grandson did not inherit his talent in alchemy, and he has always regretted it. Xiao is about the same age as YK. If there is a chance for YK to spend a few days with Xiao, I will be satisfied with a calm old man who learns a little from Xiao." Gu Yao couldn't help but smile. This pair of grandparents really told him that he didn't know what to say. One was thinking about his grandson and the other was thinking about his grandfather, but because of the lack of communication, there were many misunderstandings, and it ended up in the current situation. What Hu Guzi could not have imagined was that his grandson would be by his side, but in the end, he spent more time with the little fat man. In this matter, he still respected the little fat man's choice, but helping a bunch of little fat men from the side was still very hard. "Master Hu, I forgive the juniors for taking the liberty to ask a few questions. When I was in Shifang City, I heard a lot of rumors about the master of Xiaogu. Most of the masters of Xiaogu had a worrying character and a naughty temperament. The elixir that came in secretly exchanged for the spirit stone. It seems that the people who heard it did not have the slightest doubt, but I know that it was me who secretly sold the elixir in Shifang City at that time. So I thought that Master Xiaogu's conduct should not be as bad as rumored by the outside world, but why did he get such a reputation? After learning about Gu Yao's alchemy surgery, Hu Gu guessed that the person who let his grandson take the blame in Shifang City at that time was Gu Yao. He didn't blame Gu Yao, after all, the rumor was not spread by Gu Yao. When he came out, Shifang City was not a good place. It was just his grandson, Hu Guzu, who thought about it carefully and said, YK is indeed a bit stubborn. It was the old man who neglected to discipline him, but his nature. Next, Hu Guzu couldn't go on, saying that his grandson was evil by nature. No, he thought of the letter that his grandson specially sent to the Shifang City Lord's mansion, in order to avoid him worrying, and it is not difficult to see his concern for his grandfather. Do you think there is something wrong with the rumors outside? Gu Yao said with a smile, I just think that there is not only a person with height and talent like Master Xiaogu, but there are not many people like Master Xiaogu who have such a great reputation. In fact, those things that Master Xiaogu has done, in my opinion, it's nothing. The rumored ones don't seem to have many evil deeds. Hu Guzu, the younger generation talks a lot, and what kind of person Xiaoguzu is, Hu Guzu should know best. Hu Guzu just thought that his grandson didn't sound that bad, but then Gu Yao's words made him ashamed. He owes his grandson, but he often forgets people when he is busy, mostly by the door. Disciples take care of. Hu Guzu waved his hand and said, No, my little friend is right. My grandfather is the one who should know him the most. I have neglected my duty these years, and I have to do some things myself. Gu Yao and Lord Hu Gu finally came out of the pill room, and they alerted Feng Lord Lin, Elder Gan, and the others and rushed over. Gu Yao, who had just smiled and said something to Lord Hu Gu, took the initiative to retreat when he saw this, and acted as a junior. Hu Guzu thought it was unnecessary, but for some reason, remembering what Gu Yao said to his grandson before, he couldn't help but reflect on himself. Maybe he made some mistakes in some aspects, and he took it for granted, which led to the current situation. As soon as he heard that Gu Yao and Hu Guzu had left the customs, the elder Yi who got the news immediately rushed over from Jianfeng, just to take Qi Changjai and him to Jianfeng, so the Lin Fengju, who had just sent Hu Guzu away, had not had time. After asking Gu Yao to say a few words, this person was gone. Lin Fengju slapped his face on the spot, and Lao Yi didn't take Dan Feng seriously. Master. Ling Qi looked at Peak Master Lin worriedly. Lord Lin waved his hand and asked, I heard that Lord Hu Gu gave Gu Yao a special token for the Green Smoke Valley. Are you sure it's in Gu Yao's hands? Yes, this is what Gu Yao didn't hide. There is Hu Guzu who can rely on him. He is not someone who doesn't eat human fireworks. For example, if there is no Hu Guzu this time, how could Danfeng let him go so easily? So Ling Qi knows this. The existence of block tokens. Lin Feng's eyes were dark, and he didn't know what he was thinking, and finally said, let him go, he can't threaten Danfeng's position much, and he is here, it can be regarded as a spur for you, don't think that you have become a member of Danfeng. The disciples of this peak master can sit back and relax and not put others in the eye. Yes, Master Ling Qi also knew that if Danfeng did not restrain himself, there would be more people in Tianfu Academy who had opinions on Danfeng. Compared with Danfeng's strong population, Jianfeng is set off very desolately, and Elder Yi himself believes in ascetic cultivation rather than enjoyment, so the scenery on this Jianfeng cannot be described as desolate. Above Jianfeng, Gu Yao felt the cold wind blowing past his ears, a feeling that the wind was gone forever. The location of Jianfeng is the most remote among the peaks. Probably no one will come here when there is nothing to do. After Jianfeng is the forbidden area of the Tianfu Academy. Therefore, Jianfeng also means to be stationed in the Sword Pavilion. Elder Yi took the two to take a good tour of Jianfeng, saying that it was a peak. In fact, there was more than one peak, and many places were empty. Elder Yi was very generous and let the two choose a peak to live. Chi Changjai glanced at Guyao, who was following him, and smiled faintly. Elder Yi, don't be polite, Xiaoao still lives in the courtyard beyond the outer courtyard. The environment here is not suitable for him to make alchemy. Sword energy is left in a few places, and the alchemist is here to concoct alchemy. Who can guarantee that it will not be affected? Elder Yi looked at Guyao, the latter had an innocent expression. Elder Yi waved lazily and said, "Okay, you can decide for yourself, but Kid Chi, you have to get acquainted with Ji Unfeng as soon as possible. As for the sword pavilion, also, it's up to you to decide when to check it out. I think you lack a sword that fits your hand. I tell you, as long as you pass through the sword pavilion, you can find the most worthy sword inside. Those guys outside are not jealous. The things in the sword pavilion, but they are easy to enter, but there is no way to guarantee that they will come out intact, so the things in the sword pavilion can be preserved." A smile flashed in Chi Changjai's eyes. Does Elder Yi know how to use detours? However, this is indeed a bit attractive to him. He really needs a good sword that can accompany him to fight and grow, so he said, "Okay, I will choose the right time to go in and have a look." Elder Yi is satisfied. As for Guyao, then let him come and go as he pleases. He can see through it. Chi Changjai takes Guyao very seriously. Besides, with Guyao here, he might be able to attract more sword cultivators. Talented students come in. He also introduced Chi Changjai to the rest of Jianfeng's staff. After getting to know each other, he set them free. He is a person who believes in ascetic cultivation, and thinks that a sword cultivator can become a talent without practicing swordsmanship hard, but Chi Changjai is obviously not suitable for this. Now that the foundation has been established, presumably the internal injury on his body should not have much impact. Most importantly, Elder Yi has learned from others that Chi Changjai's shocking sword made him quite complacent, as expected of the sword cultivator he discovered. Genius. Guyao and Chi Changjai returned to the courtyard where they lived. Tian Firong and Little Fatty were having a headache facing a pile of gifts. They were all given to Guyao and Chi Changjai in various names, and some were secretly given to them. I hope they can say something nice in front of Guyao and Chi Changjai and walk through the back door. Tian Firong never thought that he would receive a gift with a soft hand. Although the gift was light and heavy, the total amount added up was also very amazing. If he had just come out of Yuanyang town, seeing such a bunch of gifts will definitely make your heart stop with excitement. Seeing the two come back, Tian Firong was the happiest one, and jumped up quickly and handed a list to Guyao. "Quick, it's all for you, check it out for yourself." "Oh, when will I be able to have such a list?" Day. Although he was addicted to receiving the gift softly, it was a pity that the gift was not for him, but for Guyao Kai and Changjai. The two glanced at each other. Most of them did not know each other, but there were also familiar names, such as Lu Chiu's Hung, who sent a bunch of exotic flowers and plants to Guyao's heart. "There are still people from the Crazy Snake Gang to give gifts," Guyao said in surprise. If he hadn't seen this list, he would have almost forgotten the existence of this faction. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 108. Speaking of the Crazy Snake Gang, Tian Firong smiled smugly. The people of the Crazy Snake Gang were so arrogant at the beginning. Even if they were beaten by Chi Changjai later, they were not so honest. Now they actually came to beg for mercy. Fatty also received an apology gift from the Crazy Snake Gang, so don't put your posture too low. Okay, don't laugh too proudly. The people of the Crazy Snake Gang are not afraid that others will deal with them in order to please Guyao, so they hurried over to make amends. "And you didn't accept all the gifts." The little fat man was angry. "Say. Hey, what are you doing all the time these days?" Tian Firong poked the little fat man with his fingers. Now that both Guyao and Chi Changjai are back, the little fat man still has such a deadly virtue. Okay, stop arguing. Guyao looked at these two helplessly. He knew that the little fat man was in a bad mood. Seeing that Huguzu left again, the little fat man was probably entangled in his heart again. He will continue to work hard in the future. Bar. Tianfirong definitely agrees on this point. If it wasn't for Guyao and Chi Changjai to talk with their true abilities, how could they have gotten along with their current prestige days? Even Pei Yuchun and Ho Chiang, who were both majestic when they entered the academy, sent gifts over, and the envy in his eyes was evident. Guyao learned that the medicinal pills handed over to Tianfirong were looted before they were delivered to the store. As a last resort, he quickly refined a batch of medicinal herbs to let the shop open. Not to mention his medicinal herbs, even the magic talismans in the store were in short supply. But not many people know that it is from Chi Changjai, otherwise it will be more popular. In response to this situation, Tianfirong and Little Fatty discussed a way to limit the sale. The price only rose slightly and did not go up. Anyway, for them, the spiritual stones they earned were enough to use. On the other side, Master Hugu took the disciples in the valley on the flying instrument and set off on the return journey, and left Tianfu Academy. Sang Shuo and Wan Saiking could finally breathe a sigh of relief. Guyao and their master discussed alchemy all day and night. The pressure is very high for them. They can ignore Danfan, but they know that Guyao is a great threat to them, and they can't easily shake Guyao's image and status in their master's mind. The other disciples of Qian Valley were also chatting with each other. Who would have thought that Tianfu Academy would produce such a talented alchemist, who would suppress all the so-called geniuses in Qian Valley, and make them lose a lot of color. They felt that Guyao did not enter Qian Valley but went to Tianfu College, which made Qian Valley lose a lot of face, and they were glad that Guyao did not come to Qian Valley, otherwise there would be a chance for them to go out of their way to be crushed facelessly by Guyao. Huguzu has been standing in front of the flying instrument, seemingly enjoying the scenery outside, but in fact, Guyao's last words are echoing in his mind. The one who announced the retreat was only putting his grandson's affairs in the first place this time, and for the first time he surpassed his infatuated alchemy technique. Is the behavior of only talent really that bad? Thinking about it carefully, the grandson has never harmed the lives of any disciples in the valley, nor has he done much bullying. How many of the things reported to him in the past are true? Wei Cai has a bad reputation on the outside. Is it due to the influence of his reputation, or, someone deliberately pushed it behind his back? Is it for him? Or is it for YK? Master, don't you have to take a break? Does Master want to retreat? When he returns to the valley, Wan Saiking walked to Huguzu's side and asked softly with concern. According to Master's temperament, once he returned to the valley, he would retreat for a while. Huguzu glanced at his disciple and asked, "Is there still no whereabouts of YK? It's someone from the valley. Is it ineffective or what, and haven't gotten any clues for so long?" Wan Saiking never expected that the master would ask about the younger brother, and she was surprised when she was caught off guard, but she quickly reacted, and said with a worried look, "Master, it is me and my brother who are not good at handling things. We will go back and personally staring at the people in the valley to track down, and asking the master to punish. It's all my brother and I's fault. The master entrusted the younger brother to us, but the disciples." Wan Saiking was about to cry, but Huguzu looked at her for a long time before lowering her eyes and turning back to the cabin. "Forget it, you can continue to check, you can only blame YK for being too good at hiding." So, did the people in the valley try their best to do the things he explained? It was just an expression that made Huguzu suspect, otherwise why would Wan Saiking be surprised? He asked if the whereabouts of Wei Cai would be so surprising. Shouldn't they be keeping track of it all the time? At this moment, Huguzu deeply doubted himself and the things around him. With the departure of Qui Yang and his party, Gu Yao's reputation has also spread in Tianlin continent, especially the parties who participated in the Ascension Conference at the beginning. It can basically be determined that the top-grade Baiwa pill refiner they were looking for at that time is Gu Haraka himself. And this makes sense. Why did Baiwa Dan disappear like a flash in the pan? Because Gu Yao participated in the Immortal Ascension Conference during that time. After the conference, he left with Tianfu Academy. Since then, Shifang City will no longer exist. The trace of the master of the top-grade Baiwadan is gone. Therefore, various forces have inquired about Gu Yao's background and origin, because according to the news from Qian Valley, Tianfu College, and Qingxiumen, Gu Yao has researched the detoxification pill of illusory demon liquid, Hongxian pill, which not only rescued the poisoned, but also and through the personal appraisal and approval of Hu Guzhu, no matter how much the parties believed, it can be concluded that Gu Yao's own alchemy talent is indeed high, which is worth winning. Northern Star Sect. As soon as Lu Minzu came out of retreat, she was told that her master told her to go, and on the way she was asked if she knew Gu Yao, who had attended the Immortal Ascension Conference together, the one who later entered Tianfu Academy. Lu Minzu has entered the 6th level of Qi refining after leaving the customs this time. The speed of this practice is quite good among the disciples of the Northern Star Sect. She was in a good mood at first, but as soon as she got out of the customs, she heard people mention Gu Yao, and she felt a little strange, and asked, "How do you know about Gu Yao? What did he do?" Ever since she returned to the sect after the Ascension Conference, she has been focusing on her cultivation and has almost been in a state of not hearing anything outside the window, so how did she know about Gu Yao's situation? She thought that from now on, she and Gu Yan would meet with her. It is the same people from two worlds. When she and Gu Yao hardly ever meet again, she didn't expect to hear his name so soon. So junior sister really knows about Gu Yao. This guy is amazing, but he asked the Hugu master of Qian Valley to stay in Tianfu Academy for half a month for him. It is said that the two lived in the same room for a long talk for half a month. Pill technique, he has not left for half a step. He is not only the owner of the high-grade Baiwa pill that all parties in Shifang City were looking for, but he also developed the antidote of the illusory demon liquid, Hongxian pill, which solved the problem that Hugu owners were not sure about. Junior sister, you probably don't know about the illusory demon liquid, I'll tell you. The disciple who led the way for Lu Minzu, Balabala, explained Datong, but Lu Minzu was in a state of dizziness. Is the person the senior said really the Gu Yao she knew? Are they the same person? How is this possible? This disciple did not expect that Lu Minzu would actually know Gu Yao, and the relationship was very shallow, just to satisfy a desire to pour out and gossip. After sending Lu Minzu to the place, she turned around and left. Before Lu Minzu made a sound, there was a voice letting her in. It was her master, the elder of the Northern Star Sect, and therefore, as soon as she entered the door, she became an inner disciple, and her status was quite high. Master, the senior brother is also here. Lu Minzu bowed when she entered the door, but she didn't expect the senior brother Yan Yang to be there, which made her heart sigh, and it might not have something to do with Gu Yao. Minzu is here, Lu Minzu's master Wu Elder Wu of the Northern Star Sect asked, does Minzu know Gu Yao? He seems to be from the same place as you, Minzu, right? As expected, Lu Minzu couldn't help but smile bitterly. She didn't dare to hide it. She told the truth about what she knew, except for the unspeakable engagement and the subsequent divorce. I didn't get together with my cousin Gu Yan either, and it's hard to describe these past events. Yan Yang saw the obscure expression on Lu Minzu's face, and guessed in his heart that she still had something to say, but the situation of Gu Yao that she said was surprising enough. Gu Yao is the four spiritual roots. Gu Yao is the holder of the Changxianmen token, and he later took it out in exchange for the freedom to leave the family. After Gu Yao left the family, his cultivation and alchemy skills advanced by leaps and bounds. At that time, he was already an intermediate alchemist. Gu Yao has an uncle whose origin is unknown, and the Changxianmen token was given out by him, but he never returned, and Gu Yao's alchemy technique seems to have come from this uncle. Elder Wu and Yan Yang glanced at each other. They didn't expect an inconspicuous little cultivator at the Ascension Conference, with such a complicated background. The monks in the Lin continent came from outside, and it was more likely to be where Changxianmen was located. Why didn't you mention these things to the sect earlier? Elder Wu blamed his apprentice when he exited. Such an important matter was kept secret. If he had known earlier, even if Gu Yao was a for spiritual route, he could have been admitted to the sect first. Watch for a while. Master. Lu Minzu didn't know how to explain. Elder Wu, it's no wonder junior sister, how did junior sister expect so much, and she never imagined that Gu Yao would be hidden so deeply. At that time, Hu Guzu said that he wanted to accept him as a direct disciple, but he couldn't hold back. Standing up and going to Tianfu Academy instead, Gu Yao's mind is unpredictable. By the way, junior sister Lu doesn't know something. The cultivator Qi Changjai next to Gu Yao has already established the foundation. Yan Yang smiled. What? Lu Minzu's heart skipped a few beats again, and she couldn't hide the shock on her face. She seemed even more surprised than Gu Yao becoming a senior alchemist. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 109. When Lu Minzu came, she was in a dizziness because of the words of her senior brother. When she left, the symptoms not only did not relieve, but worsened, and finally she became numb. Listening to Gu Yao's various things, Lu Minzu felt that she was a complete stranger and went with her. The fiancé he knows who can't wait to get rid of the relationship has nothing to do with it. Is it really because Gu Yao is good at hiding and hiding? Back in her cave, Lu Minzu took a deep breath and laughed at herself. She once thought that she and Gu Yao would no longer be in the same world, but now she finds out that the people she looked down on in the past have no strength to be jealous now. Because the gap is too large. Lu Minzu felt a sense of powerlessness in her heart. She didn't know. When such news came back to Yuanyang town, how would the Lu family and the Gu family react when they found out? Especially the Gu family, they were the ones who regretted the most. Elder Wu and Yan Yang originally thought that they could have a relationship with Gu Yao through Lu Minzu, but seeing Lu Minzu's expression, they knew that the relationship was definitely not ideal. Great, the rise of such an alchemist has little impact on the Northern Star sect at present. However, the high-level officials of the North Star sect also made a decision. If they encounter Gu Yao when they go out for training in the future, they should focus on friendship. For example, an alchemist at the level of Hu Guzu is very precious to Tianlin continent. Lu Minbei, who was in the outer door, and his own ears were distracted. The alchemist Gu Yao who the disciples talked about was not the same person he knew. Well, probably not. There are many monks with the same name and surname in the cultivation world. But he didn't know that after his sister Lu Minzu digested the news, she entrusted someone to deliver the letter to Yuanyang town. As for when the letter would be delivered, it was not Lu Minzu's concern. The disciples in Qian Valley also had a heated argument because of Hu Gu's return to the valley. Gu Yu, who is also a disciple of the valley, could not avoid being slapped in the ear. She was shocked and at the same time, she felt that it was not too unexpected and left. The ancient family's Gu Yao has really soared into the sky. People are fine in Yuanyang town, and they will still be restrained by the ancient family. Now they have completely left Yuanyang town, and the last trace of involvement with the ancient family has also been cut off. Huh? Gu Yao's surname is Gu, and junior sister Gu Yu is also surnamed Gu. You don't come from the same cultivation family, right? Haha, I'm joking, junior sister Gu Yu, don't take it seriously. Others were clearly joking, but Guyu almost missed the bottom. When others laughed, she realized that she had been holding her breath, and only at this moment did she slowly relax. Yeah, there are several disciples surnamed Gu and Guyu agreed with a stiff face, but she was the only one who knew that frankly about the relationship between her and Guyu would not only be of no benefit to her, but also putting her in an embarrassing situation. The disciples who lashed out at Guyu would immediately turn their guns on her. At this time, Guyu was fortunate that among the people who participated in the Ascension Conference in Yuanyang Town, she was the only one who entered the Qian Valley, and there was no one else. Otherwise, even if she didn't say it, her relationship with Guyu would probably be revealed. After the people, Guyu, like Lu Minzu, tried to find a way to send a letter home. Anyway, let the family know about this matter, so as not to learn it too suddenly from outsiders, but she also knew very well that the Gu family and the Guyu's relationship will never go back to the past. Moreover, the Gu family really owed Guyu, and when the Changxianmen token was sent out, even if the Gu family wanted to make up for it, it was too late. And that Qi Changjai, whose origin is unknown, turned out to be a foundation-building cultivator, and that was the level of the ancient ancestors. In the faraway town of Yuanyang, the Lu family and the Gu family finally received a letter from the Northern Star sect and Qian Valley. The heads of the two families are very happy. This is the pride of their family. Although the Lu family did not have a child who was admitted into the Changxianmen by exception, nor did they have another foundation-building cultivator like the Tian family, however, the girl from the Lu family entered. Not to mention, the North Star sect was accepted as a disciple by the elders of the North Star section. This is a first-class honor in the entire Yuanyang town. How much he laughed at Lu Minzu before, now he is so envious. Minzu has finally sent the letter back. Let's take a look. What is written in the letter? Patriarch Lu urged his son, because this granddaughter became the disciple of the elder of the Northern Star sect, and his waist in front of Patriarch Gu also became a lot harder. Because of this pair of children, the eldest of the Lu family has also become the first of several brothers in the Lu family. Needless to say, the position of the head of the family will definitely fall to him in the future. Seeing the envious eyes of other brothers and nephews, Boss Lu opened the letter. As usual, he glanced at it first, and before his mouth opened, his eyes widened, and the paper fell from his hand, his eyes full of disbelief. What did the letter say? Boss, you believe it to me, and I'll see it myself. Patriarch Lu grabbed the letter impatiently, glanced at it, and his eyes were also straight, and he called out at the same time, how is this possible? After being stunned for a long time, he came back to his senses. The first thing to do was to drive out the children and nephews, leaving only a few sons of the principal, who said what Lu Minzu said in the letter, and they were also shocked. There is only one voice left in my head. How is this possible? Is that really Guyu? One is a high-level alchemist who can refine high-grade pills, and the other is a foundation-building sword cultivator. After these two left Yuanyang town, they flew into the sky like fish into the sea. Just these two people are not the entire Lu family. What the family can handle, what amazes them the most is how long it has taken to achieve such an achievement. With time, can the entire Yuanyang town be easily destroyed by their overturning hands? If they didn't go back on their engagement with Guyu, wouldn't the Lu family also be able to enjoy the huge benefits brought by Guyu soaring into the sky? Now I can only watch helplessly, and I feel extremely regretful. The situation of the Gu family is only worse than that of the Lu family. The letter opened by the owner of the Gu family was so abnormal that he knocked the tea bowl in his hand to the ground and made a harsh sound. Father, what exactly was written in yours letter? Did you mention his father and me? Gu-san eagerly wanted to grab the letter and read it. It was a letter sent by his daughter to the clan's children who went to the Immortal Ascension Conference. As far as his daughter's place is the best, although it is not as good as Guyan, it is also very satisfied with Gu-san. The head of the Gu family was full of sternness. At this moment, he wanted to split Gu Er. If he hadn't treated Gu Yao badly, and if his good sons and daughters hadn't designed Gu Yao, how could Gu Yao be so clean with the Gu family? After leaving without hesitation, what else could the Gu family use to contain him after he was far away from Yuanyang town? If Gu Er cared about this son a little bit, maybe the blood relationship could come in handy. Let's see too, what should the Gu family do now? Not only did he have no affection, but he also had to worry about whether Gu Yao would come back for revenge in the future. The three brothers of the Gu family took turns reading the letter. Patriarch Gu's whole heart was almost eaten up by regret. He regretted treating Gu Yao wrongly, and he regretted letting him stay away from Yuanyang town. Sure enough, Gu Yao had some good things left by his uncle. It should be hesitant for half a minute. Since he wronged him in the first place, he can no longer be let out of Yuanyang town. As long as he is detained. If you don't believe it, you can't torture the secret that he has kept for many years. Look, with the qualifications of 4 spiritual roots, after leaving the ancient family, Gu Yao has grown into a senior alchemist in just over a year. As long as his cultivation level rises one step further, it is not impossible for him to become a rank 8 alchemist in the future. If the Gu family got it, what's the matter with Gu Yao? He also sent the greatest help to Gu Yao. After the people who had traveled from the Immortal Ascension Conference returned, the situation of Gu Yao brought back to the Patriarch Gu. He knew that this kid had been guarding the Gu family, and he didn't expose his alchemy skills at all when he was in Yuanyang town. It wasn't until he left that he had no fear. After the news spread, many people in Yuanyang town were watching the Gu family's jokes. Unexpectedly, Gu Yao's achievements are far more than these. Even on the road, he still hides apart, such a deep scheming. Others are pure regrets, and when they come to Gu Er, after all the mixed emotions are mixed, there is only a full of deceived anger, this scumbag who forgets his ancestors. How dare he do this? Did this evil barrier take him as a father, and dare to hide it for more than 10 years? In Gu Er's opinion, he can ignore Gu Yao's son, but when he is a son, he can't be sorry for Lao Tzu. Looking at everything today, he was born with a backbone. How could he like such a small evil? Enough, Gu Patriarch angrily rebuked, causing the current situation. This second child should bear most of the responsibility. As long as you were responsible for being a father in the past, you will not let Gu Yao ignore the Gu family, your sons and daughters. How many things have you done wrong, and you still have to protect them? I didn't say it before, it doesn't mean I don't know. How did the so-called Qi Change I appear in the Gu family? Gu Yao is not small, and your children are equally courageous. Did they think that it would be my grandfather's birthday when they did this? Father, Gu Er's eyes narrowed. It turned out that he was being scolded. It starts with you. How much did you listen to what I told you before? Humph, now it's your son's turn to not listen to you, right? Gu Patriarch got angry, and he was angry to the old man. Second, do you have to scold yourself and say you did something wrong? Of course that's not possible. Listen, from today onwards, no one in the Gu family is allowed to mention Gu Chen's whereabouts, and the Gu family will assume that there is no such person. Second, you should arrange for the girl Gu Xing to marry. You are still young, don't worry about having no children and filial piety. Whoever dares to disobey, just leave the Gu family and make a living. Gu Er's face was flushed with anger, but there was nothing he could do. Gu Sanyu was terrified and recalled whether he had done anything wrong to Gu Yao in his own room, and wrote a letter to his daughter, telling her about Gu Chen. Just when the daughter and the others went to the Immortal Ascension Conference, Gu Chen suddenly disappeared. According to the words of Patriarch Gu and Gu Er, he was taken away as a disciple by an expert. The ancient three were deeply skeptical. Gu Yao's eyes were the darkest, and there were surging waves beneath him. He also regretted it and let Gu Yao go out. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 110. The various things in Yuan Yangtown have no effect on Gu Yao. Even if he knew the news had passed back, he would not be able to think of them. Now that he is in his position, as long as the words are released, there will be no one who will help him. Give the Gu family and the Lu family a profound lesson. Thinking about them will waste time. Gu Yao's own time is precious. If you have time in the future, you can go over and end the old affairs so that you can have an explanation. Green Smoke Valley. Grandfather. Saiking is here, come in quickly. Seeing his granddaughter's sad face, Elder Wan of Qian Valley quickly asked, "What's the matter?" Was he angry with the guy surnamed Gu at Tianfu College? Humph, I don't know what Hu Ting thought. To run so far for an unrelated alchemist, it is better to cultivate Qing'er if you have this time. Qing'er, your talent is not necessarily worse than that of Hu Ting in the past. If you really cultivate others, then the status of Qian Valley will be in the future. How to keep it up? Wan Saiking walked up to Elder Wan and said unhappily, "I don't know what Master thinks, Grandpa. Master mentioned Hu Yk's trash again. I can see clearly, Hu Yk is useless and his reputation is worse, but because he is the grandson of Master, even if he makes a big mistake, Master will not abandon him." Elder Wan also lowered his face, stroked his beard and said, "I thought that this fellow Hu Ting only has alchemy skills in his heart, so he would have done it earlier. That kid has been forgotten. It seems that more people have to be sent to find it." Wan Saiking was startled. "Grandpa, do you really want to get that trash back?" Elder Wan said earnestly, "Who said that, Grandpa? I want to let him come back. There may be too many accidents outside, maybe. What Grandpa found when he got there was just a corpse, so that guy Hu Ting can also be completely thrown away. Let's focus on alchemy and cultivate you and Sangshuo. As long as your alchemy is better than that kid Sangshuo, this Qian Valley will belong to our 10,000 family in the future." Wan Saiking gritted her teeth and said, "Okay, I will work hard, and I won't lose to senior brother." As for the life and death of that trash, she didn't care at all. After being reminded by her grandfather, she also realized that it was better to die outside. As for the master, she always trusted them. Grandparents and grandchildren, who imagined a better future, did not find a shadow in the corner disappeared in a flash. On the other hand, Sangshuo is discussing important matters with the elder Shi, who has formed an alliance with him. He does not have the natural advantage of Wan Saiking. Wan Jia is a strong force in Qian Valley, but he can choose to rely on Wan Saiking. Another force in the family finally chose Elder Shi, and Elder Shi's granddaughter was his Taoist companion. Hu Ting is thinking about his useless grandson again. Elder Shi's eyes flickered. Although he is not far behind Hu Ting, he will not lose to Hu Ting all the time. What makes him most happy is that Hu Ting has only Hu Yk's blood under his knees. Even with such poor qualifications, if the current trend continues, it will be difficult to even establish a foundation. In the future, I am afraid that Hu Ting, a white-haired man, will send a black-haired man. Yes, there is something unusual this time. Master is willing to let go of sorting out the harvest this time, and focus on finding that waste. Compared with Master's previous behavior, it is a bit abnormal. Could it be that Master found something? Sangshuo worried rode. Elder Shi frowned and said, "What can he find? He must have this heart, and can pay attention to trivial matters other than alchemy. His son will not die so early, and his grandson will not end up with such a reputation. You can rest assured, the surnamed Hu is just a muscle. If he asks you to find you, send someone to find it. Keep an eye on Elder Wan. On the one hand, maybe they will be unable to hold back. As long as they start, I will have a way to let Hu Ting know the truth, so Hu Ting will spare no effort to train you in the future." Sangshuo also thought about it. He is not as impatient as Wan Saiking when it comes to alchemy, so it is not him but Wan Saiking who should be anxious at this moment. It is better to look like he is trying his best to find that waste. Make a good impression. I know how to do it. Again, a shadow flashes in the corner. Huguzo had a gloomy face and looked at the two puppets in front of him. He never thought of using such a thing on someone he trusted, but this incident made him suspicious, and he doubted himself and the people around him. He told, for yourself, only probe once. If there is no problem, then don't doubt the people around you. The two yin puppets were obtained when he got a big opportunity in the Secret Land adventure. An important feature of the yin puppets is that they can be between the virtual and the real. Hu Ting's combat effectiveness is not good, so the yin puppets are almost idle. It was only when I remembered that I released it to inquire about the news. I didn't expect that his two good disciples treated his grandson like this. What a good disciple! A mouthful of blood spurted out, Huguzo's face turned pale, and his body shook, and it took a while to stop the churning blood. He can't do anything, he has to check carefully, what are these people doing behind their backs, what has his grandson experienced in the valley all these years, and he is forced to stay away from Qian Valley. He thinks this is his grandson the best home, the safest place. After Huguzo rested, he called the two apprentices over and announced that they were going to retreat for a while, and asked them to continue to track down the whereabouts of their grandson, and then waved them away. Wan Saiking and Sangshuo didn't see the difference between Huguzo, but after hearing him say that he was going to retreat, they were relieved. It seemed that everything was normal. Nothing can compare to his infatuated alchemy. The two of them didn't know that this time, their master used his mind in a rare way, and he closed his eyes on the surface. After adjusting the breath for 2 days, Huguzo disappeared out of the retreat, quietly left Qian Valley, changed his appearance and came to a cultivating family attached to Qian Valley. He remembered the reason why his grandson was punished for fleeing Qian Valley because of dissatisfaction. It was a female nun who offended this family. What did he do then? He was furious when he heard it. He didn't expect the only talent to be more successful. Anyway, the talent was there, but at least he had to be upright. It would be a good result to be a rich family for a lifetime. She wanted to force the female cultivator. How could he tolerate such bad behavior? So he thought about it without checking. Now that Huguzo is standing outside this family, he has to reconsider. According to his status, is his grandson not worthy of the female cultivator in this small family attached to Qian Valley? According to common sense, the other party is still high. As long as he releases the rumors, it is estimated that many forces will compete to send female cultivators with good qualifications over, but the result is that this family went to Qian Valley and scolded his grandson. At the time, he felt humiliated and angry. The more he thought about it, the more ashamed he became. Master Huguzo sneaked in a flash. In fact, he was not necessarily a really kind person, so he rudely took people to search for his soul, and then found the position of the female cultivator very accurately. Who are you? Dare to break into my boudoir? Someone, Guan Yingying screamed in shock when she saw the strange man who suddenly appeared in her room. But after shouting, no one appeared. Guan Yingying was frightened, and said sternly, "Our Guan family is attached to Qian Valley, you will offend Qian Valley if you are unfavorable to me, and Huguzo's eldest disciple will be the future leader of Qian Valley. The heir, young master Sangshuo, has promised me to take me as a concubine. If you leave quickly, I will not hold you accountable. She is the future lady of Qian Valley, how could she be restrained by such a stranger? When she is out of danger, she must let someone check, who dares to break into Guan's house and her boudoir, which will be detrimental to the future lady of the valley owner." Guan Yingying's eyes flashed fiercely. It's a pity that she lost consciousness as soon as her eyes darkened the next moment. Huguzo guessed the possible situation when he heard the words just now. Needless to say, it was Sangshuo who linked up with this woman to frame his grandson. The grandson's already bad reputation has been added to the bad reputation. Huguzi directly searched his soul. After searching the soul, he trembled with anger. How many people inside and outside the valley looked down on his grandson so much? He thought he was relying on him. The grandson should be carefree. How could someone treat him well? Not only did the eldest disciple design it himself, but even the second disciple Wan Saiking intervened several times. Okay, everyone can't wait for him to die. The next day, someone from the Guan family discovered that their young lady had turned into a fool. It was obvious that the sea of knowledge was destroyed and the soul was damaged. Who did it? While reporting to Qiangwu, the Guan family actively searched for people with suspicious behavior, including their own family, who turned upside down. You must know that Guan Yingying is an important person to catch up with Sangshuo. Without her, Sangshuo would still attach so much importance to the Guan family. Sangshuo was shocked when she got the news, but then she found that the master was still in seclusion without any difference, and she felt relieved. Maybe it was just an accident, but she was just a woman. Too many, it doesn't matter. Forest asterisk. Winter is coming and spring is coming again. Guyao's cultivation and alchemy are steadily advancing. Many people who follow him have discovered this. For the reason that he is a genius alchemist, because he will never be short of the elixirs needed for a breakthrough in cultivation. Few alchemists are as outstanding as him. They can refine high-level medicinal pills when they are on the 6th level of qi refining. They are supplied with high-grade Baiwa Dan and high-grade Huajing Dan. Well, when he reaches the 8th and 9th levels of qi refining, I believe that it is no problem to refine the foundation pill. Others lack the foundation pill, but he can treat the foundation pill as a sugar pill, and he can treat himself no matter what. Kick on the foundation period. But other alchemists can't move forward like him. If other alchemists are in which rank, they can refine which rank of pills, even if it is a good result. If they want to break through, they still need a teacher. They need to provide the first order pills needed for breakthroughs. So thinking about it this way, people who follow Guyao are looking forward to when he will build the foundation. The pills needed for the foundation building period are really lacking, especially when he shoots almost all high-grade and middle-grade pills, even if the boss sees I can't help but take action. Have you heard? Alchemist Guyao has already reached the 9th level of qi refining this time. Well, I really envy the ancient alchemist. It is estimated that even the cultivator Shan Lingan may not be able to practice as fast as him.